Slàinté, y'all. Hey, welcome. It's Tuesday, and this is Scotch on the Bayou. I'm Leanne, and we are going to try this and see how it works. Uh, Nice to be back online tonight. Hopefully, I am online. We have had habitual internet issues, and I really do appreciate everybody sticking around and dealing with the technical difficulties we've been having. So hopefully this will be smooth. I'll have no frozen faces in the video this week. We'll see. But yeah, we've had 11, count them, 11 technicians come to the house or work on the lines here in outside our house in Baton Rouge. And just a quick deviation to that is you know, we have two choices of internet provider. Neither one is spectacular in my neighborhood. We don't have fiber here in my neighborhood, and what we have are very archaic lines. The personnel, the 11 that have been here that work for Cox Communications, have been stellar. They've been fantastic. They're very frustrated, though, I can tell, because they're not working with great stuff. So we've bumped up our plan. Hopefully, we're streaming well. I don't have a low Wi-Fi, though I'm on the Ethernet cable. So hopefully, everything's good. Enough of that. Again, thanks for your patience and all this. I do make funny faces. I want to do those on purpose and not because my video froze. So yeah, but it's really good to be back. We've been traveling a little bit. I had a whiskey week last week over in Houston. Did some fun stuff with my buddy Zach and Sarah over there. And got to see them and their family and visit with them, and then spent a couple of days with my Isla Whiskey Academy roomie, Jennifer, and she and I went to a concert and drank some really good whiskey and just had a really good visit. And that's what it's about, right? You meet these folks when you are in this community, and they're just fabulous people, and it's those kind of things that you really does make the whiskey taste better. So, but yeah, hey, we got some folks in, and I want to say hello and kudos to Jimmy Jazz for being number one, being in here right away. It's great to see him. Whiskey mules everywhere. Yes, we're talking about muling, moving, transporting, how to get this elixir of the gods from point A to point B intact tonight. So thanks, Jimmy, for being here. And we got Wheelhouse. Good to see you, my friend. Good to see you there. Andrew Butler, great. Hello, friend. Good to see you again. And Carlos, you're back. Awesome. Good to see you too. Too slow. Hey, smiley face to you, friend. And you're right on time. You're not slow at all. Cool. Marky is in. Mark's at the camp. He's been fishing. Been working on electrical stuff at the camp. Putting in new lights so we won't get lost going out to the pier. So, hey, honey. And George, cheers, George and Arnie. And one of the things I'm drinking tonight, so I don't have particular brands in different bottles we're going to go through. I'm going through samples. So if you don't have anything to pour just yet, go find some of your samples, because I know you got them. I know you got all these little bottles. And one of mine tonight, George, my last pour is from you. So thanks again for that. George is one of the most generous people in this community we have. Here's my boomer friend. Hey, Rich, good to see you. I need that picture of that Scotch on the Bayou sticker on that SUV. It surely has gotten above 60 degrees in Wisconsin by now, right? Oh, cool. And here's my bud Don the Bayou Shy, that Trooper Henry. Thanks. Yes, I'm glad to get back online. I'm excited. We've got some really cool shows coming up. Next week's is off the charts. I'm so excited about. Whiskey Hog. Hey, that's a new name. Thanks for being here. My family's from Arkansas, so we know all about hogs and that type of thing too. Very cool. Awesome. Seems to be working well. Oh, thank you, Rich. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have like the bells and whistles going off, but you never know. Yeah, earlier I was supposed to be getting up to 10 megabits per second, and I was getting less than one. Now I'm supposed to get it up to 35 megabits per second, and I was getting like 7 and 10. So who knows? Who knows? But cool. Thanks everybody for being in. I really do appreciate it. And I do want to talk. I wish you could see the desk is just like cluttered with stuff. And so it's almost like a show and tell tonight, a little bit. So let me get down here to this. So when we're going somewhere in Louisiana, especially if anybody's been to New Orleans, you can walk around the quarter with a go cup or a goey, as we call it. We take our liquid libations very seriously down here. And so being able to travel with that and doing it the right way, not in a car, not open container, no drunken driving. I am a absolute militant, do not drink and drive. I got hit by a drunk driver once, and that right there, if I hadn't have been in a very old steel car, I may not be here today. So we all know there's a time and place for everything. But if you're taking a quick trip, my company is having their beach party this weekend, this beach weekend. So they're taking us to the beach. We're going to Orange Beach, 3 hours away. I don't know what I'm going to encounter between here and there as far as maybe finding a liquor store or whatever. So I'm going to take some of my own stock and enjoy that, right? So how do I get that transported? Say you're off for a business trip or you're just a quick weekend away or something like that. What are those things that you take and how do you transport that? So thinking about that type of whiskey that you intend to consume, right? And it's things that you're going to just maybe if you can get out and go look for Dusties, that's one thing. But this is really I'm going to be in the middle of Bufu wherever in a hotel on a business trip. They ain't going to have anything but something I don't want to drink in the hotel bar. And so how do you transport that stuff? By car, easy. Some different rules on planes. You're not supposed to be taking any of your alcohol samples, any small samples, or even, I don't believe even like sealed minis on the plane nowadays. Excuse me. But so how do you do that? So one of the ways you can always transport that are the sample bottles. Again, that's what I'm drinking. Let's see. This first one I'm having is actually something that the Scotch for Dummies poured for me a long time ago. And it's an SMWS Longmorn. It's 7.184. It's the handbags and hookahs. If anybody remembers that one. Oh, so let's see. Hey Jim, he poured a SMWS G8. Is that the grain? G for grain? I'm trying to remember what that one's for. That nomenclature. Dangerously innocent and sweet. That sounds like that might come back to bite you, if you know what I mean. But this is definitely a bourbon matured, and it's excuse me, it's a bit stout. It's a 61.0 ABV. Wow. That's really, really sweet. That's surprisingly sweet. Goodness. And it's really pretty. I don't know if you can see how goldeny it is and very oily. Yeah, so let me know what you all are drinking. Trooper knows the quarter very well. The hand grenades are this probably what do you figure this like pure grain alcohol and punch or something, Trooper. It's this long plastic cup thing with a hand grenade at the bottom. They're not recommended at all. No, not at all. Auto glass is my job for 29 years. Oh, Hey, that's cool to know. To Oh goodness, those are really something. It's a 30-year-old campus. Gee whiz! I'm gonna tell you, this man knows how to drink. One day I will come up there, and I want to. And between you and Chad, I don't know whose whiskey closet I want to raid more for sure, for sure. Um, so yeah, Shayla, hey, thanks for being here, sweetheart. So yeah, I've traveled with lots of small sample bottles in a check bag, no problem, at least so far. Just keep it under the liter limit of the destination. So that is interesting. And I have a note for when we like talk about flying, but it is important to know like where you're going and what they allow. Um, for what I found as far as TSA goes, it's about 5 liters. So if it's a 70 milliliter bottle, it's about 7 bottles. So that kind of gives you an idea about what like you might be able to bring back. But yeah, the sample bottles are really good. And so a couple of years ago, before the world went crazy, two of the Scotch for Dummy wives, Brandy and Linda, came down to Louisiana, and we went to a Saints game. And I'm like, I don't drink beer, so I may or may not have brought in some sample bottles in a various way to the dome and enjoyed my scotch from in watching the Saints play and Drew Brees. So there's a way. There's definitely a way. Hey, Sugar Kitty, great to see you. Go Flyers. All right. Awesome. Thanks for being here. So yeah, traveling with that whiskey and what do you do? So that's definitely one of the things. Well, one of the other ways beyond just the individual sample bottles is a flask. And I've had mixed thoughts about flasks, mainly because they were always metal. And I really think that has something to do. Or, we have plastic ones too, I guess. Those two materials I do not think are friends of whiskey. I think you could throw vodka in a plastic one. You go into tailgate and you just want to put your bourbon in a plastic one and go or whatever. That's one thing. Um, but if I'm going on a little weekend trip, I don't want to put a really nice whiskey in a metal flask. And that's just me. So I was in on the Kickstarter of this company called Rag Proper. They do a glass version of a flask. And it took forever. Their little program, it took forever. They're going strong and they're big and all right now, but probably about 4 or 5 years ago, this is when they first started. And I love the fact that it is entirely glass. This is the one that's silicone and with a silicone wrapper, and it comes with either the metal top or a plastic top. And then they also have a leather version that is not, the leather is not removable, but you can see the clearness, so you can see whether or not what your fill line is. And I really like these. They're heavier, of course, because they're glass, but I don't think they have, but because they're glass, I don't feel like they have any kind of influence on the whiskey at all. So I really like those. So if we're just kind of going for a smaller thing, there's a larger one. This one, this one is pretty hefty. But those are a really good option too. So let me ask y'all, have y'all, what type of flasks have y'all used? I mean, have you used the metal ones? Do you think there's an interaction there with the whiskey and the metal? Yeah, they're pretty cool. And there's other ones out there, I think. Um, these guys, they're not cheap, but they're a very well made product. The glass is thick, and I have dropped this and it's lived to see another day. for sure. So yeah, flasks and that. But kind of before I got into that, I used to have to go on a trip quite often to our other offices for work, and and this is I went to it's somewhat of a rural area, but not exactly a place where you're going to get a lot of choice when you go to a restaurant or even, at a hotel bar, provided the hotel even had a bar. So yeah, I gotta keep that in mind. Um, so yeah, Trooper says that he carried pockets full of minis on the parade route. So my boy down here in Louisiana, you talk my language, right? So the parade route, for those that don't know, we have scads of Mardi Gras parades and parades for, in different towns, not just in New Orleans. We have them in Baton Rouge and in Thibodeau where Trooper is and all around. And you kind of have your stash, your go-y right there, Trooper. I know, I got you. Understand. So Andrew says he got a leather covered metal flask as a gift. So I have used it only twice. You have your doubts about the interaction. Yeah, I don't know. And I think I'm kind of sensitive to metal too, like drinking out of a tin cup. I don't think I could do it. Stainless steel shouldn't have an effect. Okay, so I could kind of see that. I'm not so sure those cheap metal flasks are all stainless steel though. I think they've got some other stuff. And so Jimmy, yeah, I don't know. It just really depends. So Jim, you've got a Stanley flask. That's definitely going to be all stainless steel with a Stanley one, because those are really nice. So yeah, just a thought, one of those things. George says he has a stainless steel one that is used in one of those magnetic coffee. Oh, okay. I almost wonder if one of those glass thermos ones would be okay too, Very interesting. Hey, John. Let's see. Good deal. Jim says, I didn't stay at a Holiday Inn last night, but I have to agree in the chemistry. Yeah. Well, with with your degree in chemistry, Kim Reddick, yeah, I'll take your word for it for sure. You know what amalgamy is and all that, right? So back to my little trips I would have to take for work. So we have a world market here. I don't know if y'all, it's like a little store that's got all kinds of food products and, houseware stuff from places all over the world. And all those who like scotch, raise your hand if you love a shortbread cookie. Okay. You got to have a shortbread cookie, right? And even shortbread with scotch is so good because it's kind of oily, and it's got all that butter in it and it's just really tasty. So years ago, I got this little, it's like a lunchbox, right? It's got a little flip and it's like a little lunchbox and it's got the Harry Coo on it and it's got Wallace Monument and the Edinburgh Castle and the fairies, and it's just Scottish, and I love it. It's kind of thin, narrow. So I found, actually, Mark gave me some really cool little glasses for Christmas one year, and here's a fun fact: I find old antique linen napkins. They've been washed so much, there's no lint on them. They are the best things. And I found these wee little glasses that are just lovely. And they fit in this. And then I put my samples in the bubble wrap and I pack that in my bag. And you can pack it like if you have to fly. I've had to open up a bag before because they were like, hey lady, what you got this ton of metal in here for? But yeah, I love that. And it's one little kit. That's what the thumbnail for this video was this little kit that I did. But I like drinking out of my Glencairn, right? So, like I said, I got a lot of stuff on my desk. So this is an actual Ohio Arts, like 1960s lunchbox. Again, in the tartan. So we're keeping the theme with our Scottishness, right? This lunchbox is much deeper. So I can put quite a few samples or the larger sample bottles in it. And I can also carry my Glencairn glass. And if you all have seen the video I did on a glass holder, again, with that. So I have the glass in an old tube that I cut down, and it fits in the lunchbox. So I have a complete self-contained bar. Yes, I do. In a lunchbox in my luggage. And it all fits. And you just put your sample bottles in here, and you're ready to go. No fuss, no muss. It's all contained. Voila. So tell me what you think about that. It's pretty fun. So George is saying, as long as you don't put orange juice in the stainless steel, you should be fine. Yeah, I would think that the acid would not be a friend to the stainless steel. That's for sure. Oh, goodness. So, hey, Mary, good to see you here. I don't know about the reaction, but I have some tumblers that are metal, and it's just weird to drink out of them. No chemistry degree, but my husband has one. Well, yeah, cool. Thanks, Mary. Yeah, it's just something about metal. I don't know. I feel like I'm camping. like you're in a camping set, or you've got one of those little retractable cups. I don't know. I just can't do that. And I'm not a fan of plastic, like drinking out of the plastic cup at the hotel. I want my glass. And if a glass is sacrificed, it happens. Oh, goodness. Well, it's great to see everybody. And thanks again, y'all, for your patience. I think we're hanging in there. I haven't gotten the little, hey, you have low Wi-Fi, so we're going to go with that for sure. So yeah, so you got the tube holder, all of that. That's a fun little video. If you don't know what to do with all your tubes, you can also make them into a bank to save for your next bottle, that kind of fun stuff. So, when it comes to flying, so I went over to Houston, and I took some things over to Houston, and, if you're buying a lot, like if you've got a car and you've got transportation, you can put things in a box. I mean, every liquor store, if you're buying multiple bottles, they're going to have the different cardboard boxes with the dividers, and you'll be safe there. There have been times that I have come back down I-10 from Houston, like Smokey and the Bandit, eastbound and down, and didn't have a load of Coors in the back of my car, but I had a load of Scotch. That's for sure. This past trip was not bad. Only a few bottles came back with me. But yeah, that's really pretty funny. So it's more when you're traveling, by plane and trying to get things back. The first time I went to Scotland, I wasn't planning on bringing whiskey home because I didn't really know anything about whiskey, but I ended up bringing 3 bottles home. I went over there on a carry-on backpack for 2 weeks, so I didn't have any luggage. So I want to raise of hands in the chat and in the comments, all those who have had to buy a suitcase to bring bottles home from a trip, please say, I did. Because I did. I had to buy some luggage in order to bring things home. And I had nothing to pack with other than my clothes. And that's a viable use of clothing. I had all these thick socks. So I wrapped every bottle in the sock and then put it back in the tube. I brought back a distiller's edition from Oban. I think it was the triple cask from Lafroig and a Jurek's own from Jura. And those were my 3 bottles that I brought back from that first trip. So the second trip, I was going to be prepared, right? I was going to be totally prepared. And this is what I ended up getting. So it's a kit, and I'm going to have some links in the video later. But it's a kit with these gusseted, I guess you could say. It's a plastic bag, so the bottle goes in here, and then it comes with a little pump. Now I have to say the pump was not as impressive as I wanted it to be, but it inflates. So your bottle basically has all this ribs of air, and this one's kind of lost its glory because I've used it over and over and over, probably over the last 3 years. But it really did the job. All of the bottles I brought back from Isla and from Glengoyne, they were fine. Didn't have a problem. I even wrapped glassware in it. I think I brought 9 Glencairns back the last time from the different places that we went. And that is a really, really good option. Regular bubble wrap, that's great too. I would also suggest using so Dollar Tree here in the States, I think it's $1.25 now. But anyway, they have 2-gallon Ziploc bags, which is perfect to put the entire bottle in and then in one of these. That way, if you do have a mishap, it's contained within that bag and it doesn't leak all over your luggage. That is not a fun thing. I did encounter someone on our plane that had quite a nice smelling, I figured a Speyside smelling luggage at the baggage corral. And, you hurt for people. You just, because that they picked that bottle and it didn't make it. It's like, Man, that is really, really sweet, but good. Okay, let's see who else we've got in here. The Sugar Kitty said, "Oh, yeah, but you had a Land of the Lost lunchbox? How cool!" I like a whiskey one a little better. I know, right? I mean, I think this is a really pretty cool retro way. And then it does have that Ohio Arts. They're the same company that would make the big metal world globes, It's really pretty retro. And when your mom has an antique store, an antique is all in the antiques and finds all kinds of things, it comes really in handy. So yeah. It was. I had great self-control this trip, Trooper. I really did. But I will show you, since you asked, kind of. This is one of the things I brought back, and it's the I had a picture of it. I think that it's the manzanilla. It just doesn't want to. We'll get there. Maybe not. Bunnahabhain manzanilla cask, and it's not even good at all. God, it's so good. It's so good. Very, very, very tasty. Hey Brian, how are you doing? Bubble cushion. Yes, bubble. I mean, it's hard though, because I'm compelled to pop the bubbles in bubble wrap. It's too much fun. It really is. Y'all check out his show. He goes on a couple times during the week, and hit the bell so you can get reminded when to do that. Super. Jimmy Jess says, I use the whiskey airbags all the time and never had an issue. It's always seemed lightweight. Yeah, that was my main thing for this last trip to Isla, because it comes in a pack of like 16, I think 12 or 16, and they're flat. And it's very easy to have it contained. And then you worry about, if you don't have room, you can sacrifice a couple t-shirts, or you can sacrifice something else in your luggage. I've known people that would ship their clothes home. from Scotland or from somewhere else. And I was someone who would put a luggage inside luggage and ship it, with their clothes over there. So they would have one for whiskey bottles and one for clothes. I know some people that would wear clothes that they weren't real happy with, and they would just throw them away or donate them when they were over there, so they would have more room for whiskey to bring it back. You get all kinds of uh, uh, get creative when the things that I've got to have this bottle. This bottle's got to make it home with me. How am I going to do that? Even in Indiana this past November when we were up in Indianapolis for the Scotch for Dummies 6-year reunion, 6-year celebration rather, I was like, how am I going to, how am I going to get all these bottles home? Because we took like a couple up there, about 2 at the Storied company because they were fabulous and I had to. Mark had a bottle for me that he that he owed me for putting up with him at the Bastards Ball in Austin. I'll just leave it there. Bless his heart. And then I ended up getting like a 3-pack of Westland single malt. So I was like, how am I going to get all this back? Plus all our luggage and everything else, everything that we had to put up there. So we got it all done. I do want to ask, George, if you're still on, this filmy stuff, and you can't really see it from what I took off. What is that filmy stuff that you put around sample bottles so that they won't leak? It's like kind of plumber's tape. I don't know what that's called. So if you're still on, George, let me know, because I need to find some of that stuff. I can't find. It's almost like a fish skin paraffin. That stuff's awesome. That stuff is so good. And I also want to commend you on the way you put your labels on bottles. I'm kind of anal retentive about this. So how many times have you gotten a sample bottle and it had a label on it, and when you pull it off, it just sticks? If you just put clear tape around it, then put your paper label on top of the clear tape, then whoever's got it can take the clear tape off and use the bottle again. Easy breezy, including you. Do you think they still leak? I mean, yeah, I guess so. But man, it gives it a far better chance of not leaking. And I think it too depends on pressure and humidity. I mean, like the heat. God, it's so freaking hot. It was 90-something degrees down here today. It's just tough. But okay, so Rich, you get it at Amazon too. All right, I'm gonna go find some of that stuff because we've looked locally and we can't find it. Mark's gone all over trying to find it. Oh my goodness. Okay, so surely everybody's on a second dram now. Tell me what you're drinking besides water. Okay, this is a sample from Mr. Mark Broda back when we did our Christmas thing. Sorry, it's dark here. I gotta see what this is. Lady of the Glen Bunnahabhain 9, a sherry hogshead, 66.7. God, this is gonna take my head off. Cask number, bottle number. Gee whiz. Oh my goodness. And take a look at that. I mean, that's just shy of motor oil. That's just gorgeous. In my Scotch for Dummies celebration, 6-year celebration. Thank you, COVID. Oh man. Rich, it is that warm up there? Goodness gracious. Oh man. So Jimmy Jazz has got a Mortlock 15 neck pour. It's very interesting. Oh, it's the Game of Thrones one. Oh. That might be the only Game of Thrones one I don't have. Interesting. Because Mortlock's the one that does like 2.5 distillation, right? Not quite 3. Interesting. All hail Boona Hobbin. You know, Boona is bueno. That's what we were saying in Texas this weekend. Bueno es bueno. It's golly. It's very malty. This is going to be interesting at almost 67%. Wow. That's like cream brulee and raisins with a little red hot on the back end. Goodness gracious. You know, isn't it funny with this? I want to do a whole show about samples, like where everybody brings samples and you kind of go through them. I would do a thing on Instagram about drink your samples, hashtag drink your samples, because they're just, not only is the liquid good, but the person who gave that sample to you, they're giving something of themselves, right? They're like wanting you to share. So back when Andrew was on the show, I sent bottles with him. And then we had my anniversary show. So the guys were doing a sample of the Turnery project that was a Briclati bottle that I got. And that was basically their bottle for Facial 1 year during the pandemic when they couldn't have people come to the island. And it was such a good, it was 30% Classic Lottie, 40% Port Charlotte, and 30% 2008 Octomore. And it was like coffee color, and it was so freaking good. And I realized after I poured those samples, the samples that my Scotch group I had taken over to Texas to Jennifer's whiskey group. 18 people got to sample that bottle. 18 people. 18 people. And that, to me, that's what it's all about. So I love it. I think we need to pay more attention to our samples. It needs to be kind of a purposeful time to taste that, because someone thought enough of you to pour it for you, to put a label on it, to express their gratitude that they got to have it, so they wanted to share it with you. Man, this definitely needs a little water on it. It's 66.7. We're going to give it more than a couple drops there. Oof. So let's see what else. A Glen Scotia 21. I think you said 21. Cool. Glen Scotia. Oh, Gordon MacPhail. G&M. Is that it? And then 2.81 times. I don't know what that means, Jimmy. Okay. 30-second FOMO. Fear of missing out. That's funny. George says, I'm terrible about going through samples. I need to improve on that. There's some I received almost too precious to crack open, and I just to have just to myself. But I hear you, Lee. Dude, do you know how many of your samples I have that I haven't cracked open? So I'm trying to preach to myself as well. That's why I have this Bowmore that you gave me. I have it sitting out here. It'll be my last round here in a bit. Oh man, that's so. I'm gonna have to take my time with this other one that Broda gave me. Yeah, 31 would be nice, but it's good. Very cool. Okay, so I think we're probably well versed in the getting things in our suitcase so that they end up at home. As was mentioned with Shayla earlier, check the TSA limits. It's usually 5 liters per person. So if you're over in the UK, if you're in Scotland and you're going bright like crazy because you got to have these bottles, it's about 7 bottles would make that 5-liter limit per person, not per bag. I think it's per person. But I will tell you that I know that children have had liquor in their bags on the way home. I also know someone who's brought like 10 bottles home and they just went through, you know. So it's just to be it's important to be aware of what those limitations are, because you don't want to lose anything, that's for sure. Let's see. Yes, Rich, I am an Edward fan. I have to remember, I've got a couple of them. No, this side. Yeah, right back there a little bit. A couple. And the ones I have been, they've been spec liquor store picks from Houston. Those are the ones I made, because we don't, other than the 10, we don't really get any other Edward here at all. And you'd be hard pressed to find any Balkan, that's for sure. That's for sure. And YouTube desires. Oh yes, it would be lovely to give a thumbs up. I would appreciate that. Thanks so much. I appreciate it. And I am getting a low signal now, so hopefully I'm not jamming up too bad. Okay, so the other thing I want to talk about is transporting bottles and all to parties or to tasting events. And usually, so you're still kind of around town. And I have a couple of really cool things I want to show you. So this is a bag. It's like a beach bag or something. But this I really like. And it's kind of a foamy, plasticky, but it's rigid, but it's also malleable, so like it moves around, and it fits 3 bottles perfectly inside. So if they're in their containers where you don't have to worry about cushioning or anything, you can get 3 bottles in this very nicely. So that's what I took to Houston, and just to bring a couple bottles back. But if I'm going to friends, or if we do like a bottle share with our bourbon group, I'll take that and have, if I just have a couple of bottles. But my BFF in whiskey, Iowa Whiskey Academy friend, Jennifer, worked as a rep, and she had an extra wheelie bag, a bottle bag. And again, this is, I feel like show and tell. This is show and tell. I'm in 2nd grade and I'm going to show you what I carry my liquor in. But this is, it's like a trade bag. And so it has room for, your, if you cards or anything like that, a little couple side pockets, and it's got wheels, which is lovely. But the best part is that it carries 6 bottles. So it has all this padding. I actually found one very similar to it on Amazon. I'll put a link in the final video. But it's padded, and you can put your bottles in there, and then you can just wheel them around. And it's very handy to have. So I've done that for tastings where we're doing a flight. I've got all my bottles in there. And then I have a couple of other bins that I have all my Glencairns in. So when I'm going and doing that. But that's pretty good. So let me know. I mean, do you just take a couple bottles to your friends if you're to the barbecue or something like that? Are there any other ways that you all transport your whiskey, or you want to make sure to ensure that it gets there in one place? Let me know what that is. So Jimmy Jazz, TSA says 5 under 70%, but UK is 4 liters. Well, that's interesting. So Jimmy, is it 4 liters to get out of the country or to get into the country? So if I'm bringing bourbon over, is it 4 liters bring bourbon, or can I bring 5 back? Because since I'm going through TSA, that'd be interesting to know. And yeah, George, That needs to be on one of Roy's quizzes. I might actually get that one. As opposed to most of them that I don't get. Um, 6 Mortlocks for tasting. Oh. So are you doing a tasting, Jimmy, with 6 different Mortlocks? That sounds very interesting. Very nice. Also look up wine bottle hacks that work well. Yeah, I think this was her wine bag. This rolling cart thing, but yeah. And all of those blow up bags for for the whiskey, those were from wine too. That the one I need to find a better air pump thing. That one wasn't so hot. I didn't particularly care for that. Aw, Daniel. Love you, friend. Thanks so much. So you're doing an SMWS Red Oak from Taninic. That sounds good. That sounds really good. Man, I want to come back to this thing. This Lady of the Glen, which is a independent bottler of Bunnahabhain 9. This 9-year-old tastes like a 15, or it's so rich. Very, very rich. Good. So George says, you used to have a courier bag with those blow up sleeves that would take a bottle and photo hike. Hey, that's a good idea. I saw a couple of briefcase kind of things that you could slip a couple wine bottles in. That was interesting. That stuff gets heavy though. What's Jimmy says? Cool. So my last dram. Oh wow. Okay, so my last dram is from George, and okay, I'm gonna put the glasses on because I can't see nothing. Can't see nothing. Okay. So it is an SMWS, the Moment of Salinity, because I like a salty Isla. 16-year Isla, 56.9. Oh my goodness. And if you're graced by getting a sample from George, the lanyard, the little something extra is that you get a picture of Artie, his rabbit. Why won't you focus? Anyway, so this is very interesting. You get a lot of salt on the nose right away. So Daniel's dram, 13 years, last 3 in a red wine cask, is woody pomegranate. Very interesting. So, so Daniel, is that is Red Oak is it it's Taninic. So they called it Red Oak? Is that the SMWS name? Interesting. George, do you even remember this before? I mean, I would assume it's bourbon. Wow. It's very different. It's a different good. Not that was different. No, it's very good. It's a lighter sweetness, but you definitely get a bready malt on it and a lot of salt. So the the name is perfect. And campfire. It's like, what's the peat? What's the smoke? It's more of a A little sooty campfire. Interesting. Yeah, so he says it was his first Bamor. It's really funny because until I went to Iowa, it was Bowmore and it was Ardbeg. And then when I was there, it was Bamor and Ardbeg. It's like, hey, when in Rome and all that. So I try to remember that when not there. And try not to say, but it's Bamor. It's not. It's however. They don't care as long as you buy their whiskey. They don't care. Man. That's 56.9. Let's put some water on that for sure. Mm-mm. So Daniel says SMWS is red oak, earned every bit of its name. I bet. So you get all those juicy wine kind of red tannin dryness on it, I'm guessing, with a good bit of oak from that. I bet that's what I can almost taste it for you. That's funny. I had the same thing about a Glenturret too. Oh, now I've had a couple of samples of Glenturret, not that particular one. That's really cool. So Brian says, been using a case that seems to be made for transporting firearms. Hard exterior, and inside is all foam, and it's 4 flip locks and pressure control. That's interesting. Well, because that way it would be pretty much indestructible. Now I know, like for the trades, they also have these suitcases that are foam, like a big clamshell suitcase, hard outside, and then they have the outline cut out for bottles, and so that's also an option for someone who's really, doing the trade for sure on that. I think those things are up like $150 or more. I'll take my hand-me-down roller block. So they're doing the second pour, going to let it sit and add water. Just felt like it was all over the place. Yeah, with some of the tannins, some of the, I think it's a balance. And it's interesting you were talking about that one, Dan, because the last 3 was in red wine. Can you imagine if all 13 years it was in red wine? It would probably just taste like red wine with a little whiskey instead of the other way around. Yeah. Hey. See, I was virtually tasting your dram. If only I got all the enjoyment from that, right? That's funny. That's funny. So, but well, thank you again, George, for this Bamor, because I don't think I've ever had an SMWS Bamor. But that's very interesting. I mean, it tastes so completely different than the distillery issued Bamors. Totally different. Wow. Cool. Well, I am very excited. Hopefully, I'm a little worried here towards the end that we're having some packet loss is our problem on our internet. So hopefully it isn't too bad. But we've got some really cool shows coming up in a couple of weeks. We're going to be talking about the crawfish. We're almost towards the end of our crawfish season. So we're going to be talking about that, and what do you drink with crawfish? But I want to share with you all what that industry is like down here, and the people that go out into the swamp, into the lowland, the waterways, and harvest fish for crawfish, and all that's entailed in getting that to your table, because it's a really big deal. You don't want to be a crawfish in South Louisiana in the spring, right before like Good Friday. Everybody and the mama and them had a crawfish boil. Can I get a that's right from Trooper Henry? I'm sure. I think we've had crawfish maybe 4 or 5 times by now, including with Andrew from the Scotch for Dummies guys when he and Katie were down at the beginning of April. So we'll talk about that. But next week, please do try to come next week. Gregor from Time for Dram will be here. We are going to do 2 shows with Gregor. I'm so excited. This is the pre-show, his pre-trip show. So he has sent me 5 samples to do a blind, and they are related to his trip he is about to take in the end of May or June and July to Scotland. So he and some buddies are going over to Scotland. They're doing the big tour. They're actually going to be in a caravan, and they're going to go up to the Isle of Skye and then over to Rothesay, to the Isle of Rothesay. And he told me that the only thing that is required of those going from Skye to Rothesay is that they all have to wear kilts. And I'm like, dude, I got to have a picture. We must have a picture of that. So anybody who's seen Gregor on Roy's show, he's a dear, dear friend of Gregor's. He's so good to see him. I know, Brian, you got to see him in Austin last year. He's just an absolute delight. And I'm so excited to have him on next week, because we're going to have a lot of fun with this blind that we're going to be doing. That is for sure. So let's see. Jimmy Jess says Highland Park and crawfish would work. Actually, that would probably be a pretty good pairing. It would. I could see that. Just a slight smoke taste, not too peaty. That would be pretty good. Daniel's like, only pour half ounces bones. Get it to really good. I do predict. Yes. Apache 480 proof protective case. Okay, $50. Man, that's a good deal for $50. Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. And waterproof. That's important, especially down here because we have a lot of water. That's cool. Thank you for sending that. I appreciate it. Yes, and Gregor is a kick-ass human being. So if you all have not subscribed to Dramface, Gregor is the host of their podcast. So if you just need a hit of an absolutely fabulous Scottish accent, go check that out, and you can thank me later. I can promise you that. But anyway, so yeah, we've got some good shows coming up. And again, I do want to appreciate everybody for hanging in there with the technical difficulties. Hopefully some of those are behind us. And let me know what you think about the show. We are at 952 subscribers, or 48 from 1,000 folks. If you find value, shoot a link out to your friends, your whiskey pals, and say, hey, go give her a try. Go subscribe. And I'd love for us to hit that 1,000 in the next couple of weeks. That would be really cool. Very, very cool. But yeah, I do appreciate everybody being here. And I hope you all have a really great night. I hope wherever your travels take you, that you find the Dusty that you've been looking for in the far off, odd place, that you encounter it in some liquor store, that you get it for a great price, and then you have it travel back to your home safely. And, just really, y'all, thanks again so much for being a part of this. And I will see you next week with Gregor. And until then, Slàinté, y'all.